And now, the right reasons.
Yo, New York in the house. It's Brooklyn in the house.
Yes. Yes.
Welcome to The Right Reasons. I'm Juliet Litman.
And I'm David Jacoby.
Bachelor, let's get into it, man.
Let's get straight into The Bachelor.
Okay.
We had the overnight dates, which means sex.
I think the overnight date episode is overrated.
I disagree. I hard disagree
Okay,
from David Jacoby.
Give me your
One of the things there's two things I really like about reality television. It's the same thing that sort of like human beings are like innately enjoy about the existence is sex and fighting. You know what I mean? And they usually end up fighting a little bit, and there's always sex.
Oh, unless you're Becca, right?
Right? Maybe.
Okay, so Becca is a virgin. She went into the fantasy suite. Do you think she had sex with Chris?
Absolutely not.
I really hope not.
However, the producers and editors are not afraid to totally hint at it, even though she didn't have sex. It's like, here you have this woman who's a virgin who's like, whether or not, like, I'm sure she's held someone's hand before, right? Her mom just hasn't seen it, but whether or not she seems to be inexperienced in like life experiences, certainly sexual life experiences, right?
Certainly.
So you take this woman, and the producers know her and like talk to her all the time and whatever. They have no qualms with going to break, with them closing the curtains and her being like, you know, I always thought I would save myself for marriage, but I had the perfect day today, and I'm really excited about tonight.
I think she said like, I'm feeling new things, like I've never felt before, and even that is like kind of sexual, like feeling new things or whatever. And it was just like, it was so suggestive. I kind of felt like, I don't really feel bad for her because she agreed to go on the show, but I kind of felt bad for her. Like they're definitely trying to like give her a story that might not be true.
I don't feel bad for her because I think that you have to give the audience the benefit of the doubt that the show itself is giving a wink to the, you know what I mean? Like, we don't really think that she like lost her virginity on national television while competing with two other chicks for the same woman.
Let's give
no.
Chris some credit. That would be so sleazy for him too.
Great call, Juliet. I didn't even think about that angle. I'm just assuming that Chris is down.
I don't know.
You know what? But perhaps Chris is like, hey, like, you know what? I understand that maybe you want to have sex and you think that this will sort of like solidify a relationship and we'll get married. But like the truth is like, I'm gonna marry Whitney and I wouldn't do that to you.
Right. Or even if he's gonna marry Becca, maybe he's like, I don't want your first time and our first time to be like part of a nationally televised thing.
Another great point. Like, again, like I've never married a virgin, but isn't the point of marrying a virgin that then you get married and then have sex? So like you're kind of like ruining it. Yeah.
Yeah. And even if you're not gonna save it completely, like if there's like longevity here, it just seems like a really bad way to get started.
If you're going to a really nice restaurant, you don't have a tuna melt at like 4 o'clock. You know what I mean?
I would consider it.
Tuna melt did sound good.
I love a tuna melt.
Me too. Get some potato chips with that.
I wouldn't have like a roast at 4 o'clock.
I mean, okay, fine. Fine, Julia. That's a clear distinction you just made. Clear distinction.
It is. This is why. Tuna melt you could conceivably have for lunch.
So let's go through it. Whitney, do you think she had sex?
Yes.
Definitely had sex.
Yes.
And I've got proof.
You do?
Absolute.
Were you there?
Rock solid proof.
What?
There is this in the Lowbrow Highlights column, which is coming out tomorrow, Friday. Drops tomorrow morning. You will see that there is this one GIF that Belinda, shout to Belinda, blah, 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 made that proves the whole thing. They're on the boat.
Okay.
Laying on the deck of the boat, right?
Can I make one comment?
Is it going to be about her suntan application technique?
No.
Okay.
I thought she was wearing a really bad outfit. It was so normcore, but
It was very Old Navy.
It was very Old Navy, but like I love Old Navy. I think I have better Old Navy clothes than that, and I just feel like she could have picked a better outfit for Bali. That's it. She looked like she looked like she was like an Alicia Silverstone like pre-scandalized Aerosmith video character.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. It's also like there's something really sexy about like a nice short Daisy Dukes with like the white strings, the fray hanging
and also
down,
with the pocket hanging out.
Yeah, and there's also like, but like when you have the like kind of short, but like obviously like supposed to be shorts.
She tucked her shirt in, her tank top in too. It was really weird look. And I like Whitney. Keep going. Sorry.
I do like Whitney, but all the women I watch are like, oh my god, she cannot apply fake tan.
Yeah.
Like there are blotches all over her knees.
Also,
like and then it's just over for me.
Her voice is so bad. It is so.
It fluctuates.
Bad.
It's like fluctuates. Sometimes I don't notice, and sometimes I'm like, this is ridiculous. Yeah.
Whatever.
So she's on the deck of the boat, right? And Chris, shout to Chris, because you remember they had like Prosecco or champagne or whatever, and he gave her like a 8-ounce pour, and it was like 12:30 in the afternoon. It wasn't just like, hey, here's a little symbolic bubbly. It was like, gluck, gluck,
Let's
gluck,
get
gluck,
into
gluck.
it.
He's like tilting it and just trying to get as much in as possible, like letting the fizz come down, like re-pouring. I was like, shout to you, Chris Soules. giving her 8 ounces of champagne. They're on the deck. They're enjoying themselves. They're snuggling. She then is like doing kind of like he's like seated straight forward, right? And she is sort of like spooning him from the side. She whips her legs over his, and then she takes her drink and uses his dick as a coaster.
Oh my God.
She just like straight up like put the drink like on his crotch. And here's my thing. Here's my thing.
Okay.
It's like women know what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's not an accident.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, I didn't notice that your dick was there. You know what I mean? It's like you are now
You're going anywhere in that region.
Exactly. Like I've
like
never
whatsoever.
I've never platonically like accidentally like rested my drink on a woman's genitalia.
There's also
you know
like
what I mean?
very little platonic like incidental touching in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
It's like you're so hyper aware of like the implications of what you're doing or like being like just like one-on-one or whatever. That like there's very little like, oh, I grazed your leg by accident.
Yeah,
Oh, I
it's like,
grazed your
whoops.
dick.
Yeah. It's like it's just straight. It's like wrist to dick contact, like sustained though, not like, oh, that's a little weird. Let me move it after a second. It was just like resting there, like it was a coaster. It was like, oh, I know what's going on in the fantasy suite.
Yeah.
So you're trying to tell me that she's going to use his dick as a coaster and not, you know.
I know.
You know.
Seriously.
Come on.
And also, like, I just feel like her relationship is the most far along with Chris. Like, that sounds ridiculous, but I think it is.
There was a bit of a curveball at the end. Like, when he pulled Becca away. Well, first, let's just finish this. Did Caitlyn have sex in the fantasy suite?
Absolutely.
100,000,000% yes.
Yeah.
Like, at least 4 times.
Caitlyn is the most real human of the 3 of them. Like, and
she's the most real human we've had on the show since your girl.
Leslie.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, like, a real human would have sex. Like, you're 10 weeks into a relationship.
Please.
Bone down. Like, just
come on. So I understand why you wait till, like, the 2nd week, but after 10 weeks, it's like, that's 2 months and a half. Like,
also, you're barely alone together. It's your first time. Like,
come on.
In a normal relationship, even if you're not having sex, like, you'd be, like, alone at night together before that, you know?
Yeah.
So, it's just weird. Anyway.
Well, I know she had sex because when she was eventually, like, you know, sent home, Chris walks her out. And another thing is, like, when I come back as a different human being and I go on this show as like a woman and the Bachelor disses me, I'm not. It's like, don't walk me out, don't hold my hand, don't hug me, don't kiss my forehead, like none of that. Like I'm out. F you, deuces.
Yeah. Agreed.
So she does the whole like, oh, hold my hand, walk me out thing, and the first thing she does is look right into his eyes and she says, "What happened?
What happened?
Because the last time I saw you,
things were pretty good.
Things were, you know, we were, you know."
I'm going to say she was very confident.
Yes.
In a way that she didn't second guess any of her decisions up to that point. So obviously, like, things went well in the fantasy suite.
Really well in the fantasy suite.
Yeah.
I think they went well and they went well again. They went well again and they woke up and they went well again.
Yeah, exactly. They went well at night and in the morning.
Yes. Both sides of consciousness went well.
But maybe that's why she got the boot. Like, maybe they went a little too well or something.
What?
I don't
Say that again just so I can hear it. Because I thought you said maybe she got the boot because they went a little too well.
Yeah, I did.
Like too sexual?
Yeah, like maybe like he's like kind of intrigued by Becca not having sex. Like if you have 2 girls that you've had sex with and you out of 3, like maybe he's like intrigued by Becca for some reason.
Going into the show, before you ever like saw it on the DVR and like sat down with your huge Chris Sewell's pour of wine and pushed play on that thing, who did you think was going to win?
Like on Monday?
Yeah, Monday day.
Whitney.
Right?
Yeah.
After, who do you think is going to win?
Becca. They make it seem like Becca.
It's weird. It's like, so there's 2 things. When he pulled her aside before the rose ceremony, I thought like Caitlyn that he was going to get rid of her because he didn't want to like put her through it or whatever, right? But when he started talking to her, he seemed to be like, before I send this other chick home who I just boned 16 times in the fantasy suite, I need to know that like this is a real thing. I don't want to waste a rose on you.
Yeah.
Like that's what it felt like, and it kind of felt like he really had feelings for her.
Yeah, I feel like he wants to, I feel like he thinks there's more to Becca that he's not getting, like not just sexually.
Chris, there's not.
I know, there's not.
There's not.
What you see is what you get.
Yeah, the only thing that would be like, oh, she's an asexual alien. Like, oh, whoa, I didn't see that coming. Like, species. You know what I mean? Like, that's all. There's nothing else there.
But don't you think he thinks there's something else there? Like, it's the only thing that makes sense, other than the fact that they haven't had sex. Like, that's like, I don't know.
It's hard, like, again, like, it's hard for me to put myself in his shoes for so many reasons, but one of which is, like, once that I went to her hometown and they were like, I've never seen her, like, talk to a man before, I'd be like, ooh, that's not a red flag, that's like a gigantic red, like, soccer fan tifo that just landed on top of me like a parachute.
Yeah. I don't know, it seems like if he's really into Whitney, though, like, it makes sense that he would, like, say, well, Britt went crazy, but, like, Britt and Caitlyn, like, they're, like, a lot more sexual than Becca and Whitney. Like, they just are.
Who's less sexual than Becca? This table is more sexual than
I
Becca.
know, I know. Like, there's
it's
not
a huge part of a marriage and a relationship.
Yeah,
like,
of
you're
course.
really taking a flyer if you're just like, I'm going to marry this chick who is not sexual, and just like, maybe it'll grow, it'll blossom over time. Like, what if it doesn't? Like, then you spend 50 years of your life,
I know.
like, online.
Or you have all these like other great women who like you tricked yourself into thinking you had a connection with, and you've thrown them out, and because you are more interested in like the non-connection with Becca. Or
the
something.
opposite is true too. Like, I totally see him just getting wrapped up in like Ashley I's like sexuality and like, you know, body, and then like being like, oh, this is awful.
He's obviously not that into that though. He got rid of all those girls. Like,
I think here's theory time from Jacoby. Spontaneous theory. I think he has a real complex about his hometown. Like, I think that's like really a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, he says
like,
this.
imagine if you had like a huge like mole the size of your face. Like, I feel like that's what he feels his like hometown is.
So he's going for the girls that he thinks could do it.
I think
Like,
he
like
like sniffs out the Ashley I's and the Brits and like even the Caitlins. And it's just kind of like I just don't see this happening. I think the idea that Whitney had like home base in Chicago, and that is like a 4 or 5 hour drive or whatever.
Yeah.
The people I had to my house on Monday, like they had 2 different groups at house to watch the show. They had both independently gone to like maps of Iowa and like found out how long the trip is to Chicago and Des Moines. They like both of them like Google were like okay, it's like 2.5 hours to Des Moines. That's longer than we thought. They're like, all right, 4.5 hours to Chicago. That's a lot. Like, you're not doing that every weekend.
No, that I'm happy that you surround yourself with good people like that. That's the way you should be watching The Bachelor.
Yeah, got to. Shout out to my friends.
I think that Caitlyn also was disadvantaged for 2 reasons. First of all, of the 3 like physical suites, like the rooms they were in, she had the worst one. Like, it was the smallest. It was not like decked out with roses in any way, and it was like it was like very woodsy. That's just not great, you know?
No, it looked great because you hadn't seen the other ones yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't know she got the worst one. And then she got the city date, and I think it's really hard to win when you get the city date. Like, it's just like inherently more fun.
You've brought this theory out before, and I couldn't disagree more, but please continue.
Really?
Yes.
Like, okay, but they're in Bali. It's like hot and sweaty, and like you can't like jump in the ocean to like cool off together because you're stuck in the city with a monkey peeing on you.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, that just didn't seem like a good date to me.
I just feel like if I'm going to sound like someone who's on The Bachelor, but like if the connection is there, it doesn't matter where you are. Like, I know how ridiculous that sounds. Like, I almost stopped myself from saying it. I was like about to say it, and my brain was like, "Do you really want to do this, Jacoby?" But like, I kind of feel like
in principle, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Like, it's like kind of like Ashley I. Like, if it's not there, like it's not there, or whatever. But I do just feel like if they're constructing this like fantasy, you want to be given the best possible constructed.
Yes, I think that's true too. Like, there is it's true that it's a disadvantage, but it's not like a deal breaker. We can agree on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed. If it was Caitlyn, he would have known. I think by this point he knows. Like, I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Because of the way he was like so taken back with
that whole
Becca.
Becca conversation was not like fake. It wasn't the producers were like, "Hey, Chris, like I really want you to pull Becca's side." Like, maybe they said that,
it was so awkward.
but he can't fake that conversation.
We
like,
know
he's
he
not
can't
that
fake
smart.
talking,
Yeah,
so.
exactly. Yeah, he barely talks.
This was the most we've heard him talk. Like all the other episodes combined were equal to this episode.
So like, you know, that game Taboo where I like try to make you say something, but there's 4 words that I can't say. You know what I mean? Like, one of my taboo words would be sweaty. You know, like, I'm a very sweaty human being. And watching this episode, like, I really felt for Chris because I think I'm much sweatier than he is, but like, he was noticeably like drenched.
I know. That's one of the reasons I think Caitlyn's date was so bad.
Yeah, it was just like, it's kind of awkward just to be like soaking in sweat. Like, I would honestly like,
you just feel gross.
I would bring
Also,
like 4 shirts.
For TV purposes, it's like bad for makeup. Don't you think they put makeup on Chris for the cameras?
Probably just a little. Like, I don't think nothing noticeable.
Don't you think he like sweats it off?
I think if he had a huge pimple or something, they would like conceal it. But I don't think he doesn't seem to be like, you know,
so handsome,
heavily done.
Doesn't need it.
Exactly. He woke up like this.
Like Brett woke up like this.
Yep.
I don't know. Becca's obviously not winning. Like, I'm sorry, and she's also obviously not the Bachelorette.
No chance. That's Caitlyn.
Yeah.
Like, who else is
Caitlyn's
it?
gonna be good.
Do they do consider like going back a couple seasons for like notable people? Is there anyone that you could see like pulling from the past?
But not really.
The only thing interesting would be the Carly and Zach show.
Or going with someone really crazy like Michelle Money or Claire Crawley.
Claire would be interesting.
Claire would be okay.
I think Claire might be a good choice. I've just convinced myself. I didn't consider that until now, but like, Michelle Money seems to be a little
too off the reservation.
But a little bit. Can I call me my new term?
Yeah.
Swag. Stands for secondhand wives and girlfriends.
Oh, it's true. I mean,
I'm really gonna try to push this into the vortex.
I like it in principle, swag. We talked about this previously, but it does sound too similar to both swing and swag. Swing, like from Wayne's World.
Yeah, I'm familiar. I'm familiar with the term. I'm just workshopping it. Maybe I'll come up with something better.
I mean, I love the wag
But
concept
Michelle,
in general.
yeah, Michelle Money seems a little swaggy to me.
I mean, if you've dated Carlos Boozer, that's like kind of a big deal.
But good Carlos Boozer.
Totally.
Not like dating Carlos Boozer now.
Not like spray painted.
Yeah.
Carlos Boozer.
But I think Carly would make a really interesting. I would say Carly and Caitlyn, top of my head, would be the best two.
Caitlyn is obviously the best.
Have I pitched you my they should do both Carly and Caitlyn?
No.
Both Carly and Caitlyn, but there's a pool of like 30 dudes, and they kind of like date all of them at the same time. So there's this whole kind of like the guys kind of have to decide who they're picking,
Sure. This is
and the
similar
girls
to
have to decide what they're picking. You know,
similar to the siblings that we remember we were pitching that once. We were like,
yeah,
similar to that. So one pool, and then
then they kind of have to like work it out. So I feel like siblings would like communicate and work it out between each other. But I feel like Caitlyn and what's her
Carly.
face? Claire would like fight over somebody.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that would be fun.
I don't know if Caitlyn would stoop to Claire's level. Sorry, Claire, shots at you. But
What?
just feel like Caitlyn, I could see myself being friends with her. And like,
in my brain, I am friends with
like
Caitlyn.
that's how I judge everyone. Like if I could date you if you're a guy, and if I could be friends with you if you're a girl.
Yeah.
And I just feel like she wouldn't, based on how she didn't really get that catty to anyone's face. She didn't have any fights on the show. I just feel like maybe she's above it. But she is on the show, which is just like...
there's always that. Like, every time you start, like, sort of rationalizing about and with these people, you're like, well, you did, like, do a casting tape and, like, fly to L.A. and do interviews and, like, write emails and campaign for yourself.
Yeah, like, it doesn't make any sense. But I'm looking forward to her season. I think it'll be good.
All right, we do have to move on, but...
You know what?
Bachelor in Paradise draft.
Oh, my goodness.
Just pick your favorite. Just pick your favorite two.
Jordan, the drunk girl. Mm-hmm. And Ashley I. Duh.
I would do Ashley I for sure, and I would probably go with Caitlyn if she's not the Bachelorette.
Really?
Yeah.
What about Britt? Do you want Britt on
Yeah,
on the
I
island?
want Britt. That's a great call. Ashley I and Britt would probably be number one.
I think we want Britt on the island, particularly because she just seems like a real backstabber.
Can I do this transition?
Yeah.
On the way here, you're like, I just watched Real World this morning, and it was so good. Yeah. So we're skipping right over Vanderpump in the rundown. And I was like, really? Like, what? Like, what was it about this Real World that you really loved?
I think that I feel like this was one of the least explosive episodes, and it actually kind of made me question the skeletons concept, because I was like, this is like the second or third quote-unquote skeleton that's really not been very remarkable. But I like this cast so much that I felt like this was almost like more akin to the earlier seasons than we've had in a very long time, because... inexplicably, Nicole has to go to Brooklyn to be an EMT for a few
like
days.
3 days?
That was so weird.
And my wife explained it to me, it's like, oh, well, it's one of those things where she'll lose her job if she doesn't do it. But it's like, what job is it? Like, okay, fine. You can leave for 4 months to be on national television, but you have to come back for this one weekend.
Particularly because you can tell they're almost at the end of their time together.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really make any sense. I really like seeing the three guys go to meet Jason's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those are the kind of things I used to do. Like, they used to integrate real life more onto the show.
Yeah.
Like, when, I forget her name. I can't remember. She was like the police officer, or whatever, or the doctor or something. Pam was a doctor.
Yeah.
There's also a police officer in that house that was in San Francisco. Like, they all had real
Who was
jobs.
the police officer?
A woman. I can't remember her name.
Was it Rachel?
No. It might have been Los Angeles.
Yeah, it might have been. I forget.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah. I remember her. Dark curly hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
remember her, like...
I don't remember her name and
neither.
stuff. Yeah.
But, like, they used to be real people, and these people are all crazy and flawed, but they're real, and I like that. And, like, I feel like we've gotten to know them in a less superficial way than other casts in recent memory.
I like this cast. I'm attached to this cast as well. There was one point during the show where I think it was Violetta like ran up to Bruno because after the prank or whatever, and like just straight up started hitting him on the shoulder really hard. And I was like, Bruno, like this sent you into like a Hulk rage 2 episodes ago, and now you're just like giggling along with her.
I know, and I was really disappointed, and I was like, even if you're mad at him and you're joking, like, you just don't hit people like that.
Do that, man. We've seen what happens.
I know.
It just proves it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Exactly.
It's what it proves. Context. It's context is everything.
Yeah.
He's already mad and he's already pissed off and you're in a car, like, he's going to freak out.
Also,
but if you're just
if you're
joking
sober,
around,
it might not be as bad.
That's a good point.
But just in general, like, I feel like their relationships with each other are all a lot more complicated, or at least we're allowed to see them be more complicated.
Yes.
I don't know. I just feel like this has been a really
It's been a good
great
cast.
season.
Like, you don't have to be able to articulate it. It's just kind of like you either like know when you see it, and this is a good cast. It's been a good season.
And so Madison has been like probably the least likable the whole time. I guess Bruno.
Yeah.
I don't know. They all have their moments. Violetta, you could hate for a while.
I could live in a 2-bedroom with every single person there except for Bruno. Yeah. I can't live into the same roof with someone who like can just snap
scary.
And be weird. It's just like, dude, I don't want this in my life.
Yeah, and also like he's the kind of person who I think I'd be like, well, maybe you shouldn't drink anymore, and then you could like see that being like a huge problem because I think it's pretty like when you see them drunk versus
he wasn't
sober.
that drunk. He probably drinks the least in the house.
That's true, I guess.
Which is like 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
Tony's hungover face is amazing. Like there was one shot where like, you know, like everyone's got their own thing, but like he was like his eyes were so swollen that it was just like shut. Looked like he got out of a boxing match. It was just like, dude.
They live in such filth. Is it a requirement to be on the show? You have to be disgustingly messy?
I would love to like get like John Murray in here and just be like, just tell me the rankings from cleanest to dirtiest of the seasons. Like there's got to be one season where there's one person that was just like, you know what, this house is gonna be clean. I don't care if it's mine or not. I'm cleaning it up.
It's just disgusting. I remember some past seasons like you just see the kitchens.
I hate those shots.
Filthy. It's like Tom Sandoval's apartment, but times 7 because there's 7 people. So this week's skeleton was Madison's
sister.
But let's set it up with a clip that I replayed a few times from the beginning.
Oh, this is the beginning. They're all sort of like lounging around. Yeah. And this is the conversation.
I tried to look up all my mugshots and not a single one of them popped up. That's annoying. Want to see my mugshot? Yeah.
All right.
Let's listen again, because there's at least 4 things we can talk about here.
Crazy.
I tried to look up all my mugshots and not a single one of them popped up. That's annoying. Want to see my mugshot?
All right, let's break it down person by person. Okay. Sylvia first says, I tried to look up my mugshots and not a single one of them shows up.
Sylvia, how many times have you been arrested?
How many mugshots have you had?
What?
I'm 36 years old, never had a mugshot.
Me neither. 29, no mugshots.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to go through life without having a mugshot. Like, I can't. Like, there's so much. Now, like, that's the only skeleton you brought? Her boss? There's a lot of other skeletons in her closet.
Seriously.
It's like, that's...
Great point. Like, if she's got mugshots, she's got skeletons.
What'd she do?
Like, she was late to work and her boss was mad. Like, that's every single person on the planet.
Seriously. Like, everyone has a contentious relationship with their boss. It's your boss. Yeah. Okay, that's number 1. Next. Violetta goes, oh, that's annoying. No, Violetta!
It's not!
It's not annoying!
That's perfect!
You're quite lucky!
It's exactly what you want! People hire people to make that the case.
Exactly. People like hire people to flood the internet with their name to push that down to like the 4th page of Google results. So that's really weird. Like, were you even listening, Violetta? Like,
no, she wasn't. I remember they was like sitting around.
Yeah, because that's the kind of thing that she would push back on. I feel comfortable saying that. But no, I know her well enough to say that. Yeah. The next, Madison.
Want to see my mugshot?
Okay, that's just crazy. That she just like...
It's like when Jade was like, want to see my naked pictures? It's like, here's the thing, like, don't volunteer this information, Madison. It's almost like they think there's something cool about having a mugshot.
Or it's just like, or it's like it's so normal
to them. It's like some source of pride. It's kind of like they're being like tough girls. They're like, hey, we're tough. We're bad girls. We've got mugshots.
It's such a warped...
We're from the wrong side of the tracks.
It really made me wonder, like, is Madison employable? Because like if you were hiring someone and you just Google them, you're like, oh, this girl has a drug addiction and there's her mugshot and stuff.
Yeah, and it really like, and I wrote this in the column. It was like, I only know Madison from this house. Yeah. Right? And she's acted and behaved like every other person in the real world. Just kind of getting drunk, making bad decisions and dressing poorly or whatever. But like this, when her sister came and her sister was like, oh yeah, like my entire junior and senior year of college, you were on drugs. And I moved to California because you were so depressing. I didn't want to be around you because you used to be my sister, and now you're a shell of a human being who's on drugs. And I'm coming to visit you in Chicago. You're getting blind drunk every single night. This is bad. And that was like really like, it was like the fantasy kind of like went away. Yeah. I was like, oh, this is bad for this girl. Yeah. Like, and then she has a quote where she's like, they were talking about like going back to Austin, and she's like, I'm scared to go back and be alone. When I'm lonely, that's when I scare myself.
Right.
And I was just like, oh my God, like, I'm not sure how confident she is in her own sobriety. And I don't know if this experience of her being like nationally televised is good for her.
Or also being around so much alcohol. Like, even if you've given up one, and you've given up one addiction, like, you know, it's scary. And I actually have come to like Madison. I didn't like her at first, but now I feel sympathy for her, and I think that she like ultimately is like probably a decent person. But it's just like, you're right, like this is probably not the situation you should be in, and Tony's probably not someone you should be dating. Like,
Tony's definitely not someone you should be dating. Tony is going to date her until they leave the house. They're going to pretend to have a long distance relationship. He's going to drive. He's going to sleep with other women in Baton Rouge or New Orleans or wherever he lives. He's going to drive to Austin, which isn't that far, a couple times, and then he's going to be like, you know what? He's going to be like, I'm done with this. Like, I'm clearly, you know, he's going to go back to one of his other 17 girlfriends.
Yeah.
They're all mean to him.
It's just like, I don't know. It was interesting seeing her sister, and it's just like Madison is just so out of touch with like what the state of their relationship. It seems like she lives.
What was the first thing that Bruno said when her sister left the room?
She's hotter than Madison.
What did Tony say in response?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
she was really pretty.
Where do they do that though?
Horrible. Like
when you like a girl and that's your girl, like,
you don't say
she's
that.
the most beautiful to you, and even if she's not, she's the most beautiful to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and even if you think it, don't say it. Like,
exactly. Like, just move on, man.
I know. Ugh, Tony.
His tattoo.
Tony has a tattoo that says Tony in reverse. So when he looks in the mirror, it'll say Tony to him. It's on his back shoulder.
Yeah, but what you're missing is when you look at it normal, it says, why not? It's dope.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it says it's a why not tattoo. That's also his name in reverse.
That's a great point.
And here's the thing: it's like before you even be like, oh, that's stupid. Why'd you get that?
Why not?
Why not?
Why
It's its own, like, it defends itself.
Also, he's so lucky that all of those letters Y-N-O-T are symmetrical, because otherwise it wouldn't work.
Y is not symmetrical.
Yes, it is. If you put it down, if it line down the middle, yes, it is like that.
No, dude. No, but it's a cursive Y.
Oh.
Back on you.
Damn. Damn.
Vanderpump Rules happened.
Yeah, finally. Is it over? Was that it?
No, it's never, ever over. This was centered around Jax and the Miami Girl, which seems like the last 7 episodes have been centered around. So,
what would they do without Miami Girl? They're so lucky about.
They're very lucky about. And according to John Carr, she just happens to be in Los Angeles every so often.
Fly herself out.
I'm not saying he's lying. I'm not saying he's telling the truth. I'm just saying it's a nice coincidence for the television show.
Love John Carr.
Yeah, shout to him. Second, so Kristen meets with the god Stassi because she needs advice.
The god.
And she's like, the god Stassi, I need to manipulate Jackson to saying something. There's like, you are the Michael Jordan of manipulating Jackson to saying stuff. So how do I get him to say stuff? She's like, oh, you just get him around Sheena because he feels comfortable around them, and he'll say whatever you want. So she does so at dinner, and she asks about Tom Sandoval and Miami Girl. And here's Jax's response.
This is what happened. So that girl was with Tom in the room, having sex. She slept with him. She had sex with him. Do I think it happened? 100%.
Is there any doubt? Does he leave any doubt?
No, he said 100%.
Like, they had sex. She slept with him. They had sex. 100% they had sex.
100%.
Quadruple confirmation.
That's pretty good editing. Shout out to you, John Carr, because he didn't just say all those things in a row.
No, yeah, you can tell.
There must have been like some kind of in between. Jax is just the worst. He rats out his friends under any
the previous scene, not the previous episode. Tom Sandoval was like, dude, just be cool, man. Just like keep my name out of your mouth. Like everything's fine. Like just don't. And he just does.
Valid request.
And he just does.
It's just like do you think he does it for the cameras? Like, I don't know. Like, I just can't. Like, you can't get inside Chris Soules' head. I can't get inside Jax's head.
You can't.
Nothing he does makes any sense to me or would ever be a choice I would make. So, like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, and the thing is like, you could easily explain away his behavior, and maybe he does, as being like, look, man, like, we're making a TV show. So I'm just, like, stirring up the pot. I'm like, giving the people what they want. Like, we want this to be a good show. I want it to get another season. So I say ridiculous things and cause problems. But
don't ruin
I get the sense that this is the real Jax.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's doing this for the show. Like, I think he was doing this long before the show. And you can kind of tell by the way that everybody treats him with an eye roll. You know what I mean?
Let's go back to Stassi and Kristen's sit down for a second.
Just completely organic and natural. Yeah.
First of all, I Googled that place. It looks really good. It's called Gist. It's in Little Tokyo of Los Angeles.
Oh, that's right over here. I don't like ordering and then sitting down, though.
Really, I like it because at the end of the meal, you've already paid. So it kind of like, you're just like, can leave freely. I like that.
Do you get one of those little number things on a stem that you put there?
I don't mind. I don't mind that. It's like I've forgotten that I've paid for it. It's like it feels free.
Say that again, please.
I've forgotten that I've already paid for it, so it feels free. Yeah.
It's like when someone pays you back for like $40 you gave them 3 weeks ago. It's like boom.
Yeah, exactly. Great, free money.
Yeah.
So every time they go someplace, I Google it to see like if I want to go there.
Do you want to go there?
Yeah, it looks great. The only thing is it's only open like 8 to 3, and those aren't really good hours.
I don't understand restaurants like that.
How do they survive?
How does the money work?
Our favorite place, Home State, which is
shout to Home
the
State.
best breakfast tacos in the entire world.
Shout to chorizo.
Shout out to chorizo. They're open from like I think 8 to 3 or like
I think they're new, so they're working it out until they can be open from 8 to 8. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like get the dinner money.
I know. I don't get it.
You spend all this on rent. Like the overhead is already sunk. Like just get the people to stay there longer.
Yeah. So the hours aren't good for me, but it looked cute. Next. Stassi looked a lot different, and I know it's easy to say she gained a lot of weight, but I think she also changed her like eyebrow color in relation to her actual hair, and I found it so distracting that I was just like, what's going on with Stassi? Like, and it also became clear to me that they filmed that very recently. Like it must have like been like fill-in or something.
Yeah, probably.
Because she just looked so different. And the whole thing was just so awkward. Kristen seems like a woman possessed at this point.
Yeah, and I don't think that's editing either. I think she's really crazy.
Yeah.
Oh. Do you know who else thinks he's crazy? Jax. He told a story about her. This just was really breezed over, too.
I do know the whole story. Carmen calls me at 5 in the morning crying. They had a girls' night out. Of course, Kristen got extremely wasted and was yelling and screaming at one of the strippers. Now, the stripper comes out, who's pissed off, and the stripper thought it was Rachel who was the one yelling. Decked Rachel, knocked her out. She's at an all-time low right now. Fired from SIR, kicked out of a strip club. Boyfriend broke up with you. Would you contemplate like maybe taking a break and going on vacation or something, or going to see some help?
There's a lot to chew on there. Let's go through the allegations.
Okay.
She's drunk at a strip club. It wasn't really. I'm assuming it's female strippers.
Yeah, I think it was female strippers.
That's because I get that sense. It'd be weird if this was like male and female violence. So then Kristen gets in a fight with a stripper. Stripper comes over, thinks that Rachel was the one that she's in a fight with, knocks Rachel out with one like Manny Pacquiao punch. Right?
Down for the count.
Then. So then we're supposed to believe that that'll happen, and then he says that she should probably go on vacation.
Okay.
Which I like that that's the answer to everything. Vacation.
If you're unemployed, it's not the best time to take a vacation.
No.
Vacations cost money.
Yeah, and it's also like, it just seems kind of lonely. Like you just got through a breakup and now you're like on vacation. Like you're definitely going to sleep with some like, like hotel clerks.
Thanks for bringing up James. I wanted to I didn't know what to do when he was like, I've been out of high school for 2 or 3 years. I'm trying to leave that trauma behind
me. Yes.
2 or 3 years? Like, oh my God, you're a child.
Oh, you are such a baby.
It just is crazy. It also like made
Did
me
he ever go to university? I love how everyone in Europe calls it university instead of college.
Yeah, me
I
too.
like that. They only have government funded schools here. Is that what university means? I have no idea.
University means it has graduate schools as well as undergraduate.
Really?
Yeah, like
Huh.
Harvard University is not
I didn't know that.
government sponsored. Yeah.
For some reason I thought it was state schools. But that makes no sense because I went to New York University and there's...
Let's move on.
I want to dig down on this.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Well, James, I also was then wondering, okay, so you left high school 2 or 3 years ago, so that means you're 20 or 21? I think when we met you said you were 23. So I just so you're either not the age you said, or you took a long time to graduate from high school. I don't know.
I think he was just off. I think
math didn't add up.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if his math isn't the sharpest.
But I just was like, I was actually like, wow, James, like I'm kind of impressed you got yourself into this world so young. Your prime years ahead of you. It's kind of like
he's Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, it's great. It's like maybe he's going to cut his teeth in the Vanderpump League for a couple years, but he's going to get there, man.
Totally. Like he's going to have his own show. Of all these people, I'm going to say he's most likely to have his own show because he'll have so much experience. He'll be great at reality TV.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I'm just
James
saying.
is not going to have his own show.
You're right. He's going to be a successful music producer.
Yeah, exactly. he's going to be the Lucius Lyons of our time.
He's the next Calvin Harris.
If you watched Empire, you'd laugh at that.
I know who that is. It's Terrence Howard on Empire.
He's the best. So,
what do you think happens to Stassi next? Like, where does she go? What are they going to do with her?
She can't bring her back in this capacity.
It's absurd that Lisa would even like ask her for the show to be the stylist on the SUR photo shoot. Remember the SUR photo shoot?
Yes. Do I remember which year?
Sorry.
They're always themed.
That was like her event. Like it was kind of like Stassi's personal prom.
Yeah.
Was the SUR photo shoot, and it's just absurd that she would even suggest that she's the stylist for it.
I think the SUR photo shoot, much like the Olympics, is like a one every 4-year event because annual events like they creep up on you before you know. Like All-Star Weekend, I was like, weren't we just like in New Orleans? Like it just happens quickly. You know what I mean? Like once a year to get all dolled up, and they probably spend like $20,000 on this thing. Like, why?
It's also so nice that you think that they only get dolled up once a year. It's like their annual event.
Well, they do like a theme. I know.
It's literally the theme
it's like
is
a
different
Jets
this year.
versus Sharks, like a West Side Story theme. It's like Greasers.
I'm glad you brought up West Side Story for an excuse for me to
Gave
snap.
you just some snapping opportunities before the pod. I was like, Juliet, don't snap.
I'm sorry. I just love snapping. It's how I express my enthusiasm. But like in general, all of these people, I think it might be time we love the show for a hard refresh. Like let's just get a new staff at SUR.
It was interesting that like when we had John here, he's like, well, there's this one group of friends at SUR that we're going to focus on. And I was just like, wow, like there's other groups of friends at SUR? I was like, tell me more, John Carr.
Laguna Beach, after a couple seasons, moved to a different high school. They went to Newport Beach, and that was a great move. I was like, great. It's like same, but different. Like, and I feel like they kind of need that for this show.
Pump, dude. It's sitting right there.
That's a great point.
Vanderpump Rules, Pump 2.
When are we going to go to Pump? We have really failed at that.
I think we just talk about it. We're never going to do it.
I know. I'm
Let's not talk about it. Let's be about it.
Okay, let's move on.
What else, dude? Challenge.
Didn't watch again. I'm really sorry.
Challenge was proof. Here's what happened.
Okay.
It was the one you've seen where they jump from truck to truck.
Oh, cool.
So cool. Like, so cool.
That's really hard, too.
It's not as hard as you think. Like, you know, like the physics of it. Like, I'm sure like Newton will be like, well, it's actually just like jumping on the sidewalk. But it was like visually great. Like, you could tell the cast was having a good time. And Wes Bergman, the god, was looking right at the camera right before he started. And he goes, for everyone who always asks me, why do I still go on the show when I have a real job? This is the reason. And I was like, exactly.
That's awesome.
I was like, this is great. I felt good for them. Like they seemed to enjoy it. It was a great challenge. It got really close, and you have to put these balls in this thing. I won't even explain whatever. So Zach and John A get 11, and John A at the end like jumps off the thing and like ends up hanging off the thing, and like he's like, "You just disqualified as John A. Like you're the worst. I hate you." And then it ends up that Zach actually like jumped off something too early, which negated a ball for them, so they're all tied. So Zach was like yelling at John A. is actually the reason that they ended up not winning.
He's the worst.
So then Leroy and Nia are the power couple, right? And what do they at the power couple dinner? What do they eat? You
Pizza.
know this. Frozen pizza.
Pizza and
like,
wine.
Pretty much every time.
Yeah.
I'll present this without comment.
Okay.
Nia and Leroy are the power couple. What do you think that they were fed? Fried chicken. Yeah. That happened in real life. There's not a single producer that was like, hey. Like, I can understand it was just like a mistake. Like, I'm sure their catering service just like had that planned out already. It's not like they did it on purpose, but someone there on set needs to be like, the optics of this are wrong. Like,
I knew that was
throw a pizza in the oven. They can wait 10 minutes.
I knew that was wrong. I knew that was going to be the answer, and I was like uncomfortable
saying it. I could see it in your face. That's why I said it. Because you don't want to be wrong and be like, no, it was salad. What's in your head, Juliet?
Oh my God. That's crazy. That's really horrible.
It's just like a big mistake. But it wasn't that big because Leroy, of course, the best man in the world, was just like, look, I love fried chicken. We're gonna make the best out of this. Me and my black couple, he's like black power couple dinner. I was like, you're the best, Leroy, diffusing everything.
He really is the best.
Yeah, he's great.
That's crazy though.
So
that's just bad judgment.
Who do you think Nia and Leroy throw in based on the last episode, if you remember?
Jay and Jenna.
Of course.
Yeah.
But instead, Wes Jedi mind tricks Leroy into like throwing Zach in.
Really?
Yeah. So it's Zach and what's her face? John A. against Jordan and Sarah in the final, right? And the final is swinging a sledgehammer against a beam and moving the beam along. Zach versus Jordan. How many hands does Zach have?
2.
How many hands does Jordan have?
1.
It's swinging a sledgehammer. How strong is Zach?
Incredible. He's
the strongest man in the world.
He's in the whole galaxy.
Yeah, in the galaxy. Sorry, my bad. Sorry, nerds. And then Jordan is at a disadvantage, not by heart. He's got a very strong heart, but the man, was born with one hand, like not fully formed hand, right? So you're thinking, all right, this is going to come down to John A's little ass against Sarah. Maybe she can make up the gap that Zach builds with the sledgehammer. Jordan beat Zach by like a foot.
Really?
Jordan's a beast. Jordan, as much as I like the way you evaluate, like, do I want to date them or do I want to like be friends with them? It's like, all right, do I want to have sex with her? Do I want to have a beer with him? Like, I don't really want to have a beer with Jordan.
No.
But I respect the shit out of this dude.
I do too.
You know what I mean?
I do too.
Like it's like, I don't like him, but I respect him.
I also kind of like that he's so honest about wanting to overachieve because of his disadvantage.
It's nice that he owns that. Like he understands why he is the way he is and
Yeah.
like puts it on his sleeve.
Yeah, I like it.
And so it was a really good final, and it really had me thinking, like, is Zach, like, are we sure he's good?
Maybe that's why he's not in the NFL.
Do you remember when he cramped up in the finals last season?
Cramp game.
Right when LeBron cramped?
Totally.
Like, I'm not sure that he's good, dude.
It's all the same. Wow. Well, I'm going to watch it probably tonight.
It's excellent.
A day too late.
It's excellent. That's kind of what happened. We're running out of time. We have a lot to cover.
Straight to news?
Let's just acknowledge the fact that Survivor started last night.
If I didn't watch the challenge, certainly didn't watch Survivor.
Yeah, you're busy, right? And you wrote 2 things for the site today. Shout out to you.
Thanks, buddy.
Yep. Look for those on grantland.com. And Survivor's back. Here's the gimmick. Do you know the gimmick?
Yeah, it's like blue collar versus white collar versus no collar.
Yes. And
it kind of sounds like a 50 Cent album title. Doesn't it?
It does. It does. It does. Blue collar, white collar, no collar. They're very loosely defined. Like there's a hairdresser in the blue collar thing.
Okay.
Which is just like, but it's like not only their profession, but their approach to life is how Jeffy P explained it.
Okay.
It was a good episode. I basically watched Survivor because I have a crush on 1 or 2 or 3 of the women. That's kind of where I'm at with the show right now.
Sure. I'm going to watch it.
I had a crush on this chick, Sue. She got voted out in the first episode.
Oh.
But then I developed a crush on this guy, Vince. Let me
Ooh.
tell you a little bit about
A
Vince.
male crush. Love it.
Yeah. Do you know what his profession is?
Boxer.
Coconut vendor.
Oh my God. Like on Coney Island?
Like word for word, coconut vendor. No, he lives in Santa Monica.
Oh, okay. It's the same thing.
He wears feathers in his hair, right? And he's like completely a space cadet.
I've probably seen him on the beach.
Yeah, no, you haven't. Like, 'cause he's like mining for coconuts or whatever coconut
But like,
vendors do.
I thought he was like selling them to like people who are just like there on Saturdays.
I don't know what that
like, you know when they
means.
come around offering you fruit?
Who knows? I don't go to the beach, man.
I do. They offer you fruit.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there and they come by.
Let me tell you one thing Vince did before we move on. He goes off on the side with this chick. They go to get water or whatever, right? So he's like flirting with her a little bit. He's like, and in their interviews, like, I have a real connection. We'll call her name like Sarah. I have a real connection with Sarah, right? Whatever. And then Sarah's talking to some other dude. And then later he confronts Sarah. This is like day 1. He's like, do you like that guy?
Oh my God.
Like day 1
he's
on
like,
Survivor.
Clingy, needy guy?
Yeah, he was like, do you like that guy? Are you developing feelings for him? He's like super spiritual. He's like, because our
Feelings?
connection was like, I was feeling our connection, but it seems like you have a stronger connection with John or whatever. It's like, dude, like
That's
day 1 on Survivor, you're already going like psycho girlfriend on
That's
her.
what's wrong with Santa Monica. People like that.
You just can't alienate huge swaths of the population on this podcast anymore, Juliet.
It's
I
too
love
late.
Santa Monica. You love Santa
I
Monica.
do.
You drive an hour there every weekend
Yeah, I go all the
just
time.
to hang out there. So how bad can it possibly be?
Shout out, find me, Vince, on the beach, Tower 28.
Yeah. Is that real, Tower 28?
Yeah, that's where I like to go.
Oh, I'll be there.
All right, let's move on to news.
Yeah.
I read this morning while I was procrastinating. Kris Jenner somehow finagled a 4-year, $100 million contract with E! For the Kardashians and all spin-off shows. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of money. But then I thought about it. It's actually not.
Matt, it depends what comes out of that. Is that the production budget?
No, I think it's the fee the Kardashians
That's the fee that the
receive.
Kardashians
But
get.
that's for the whole family.
We're chopping that up 8 ways,
Yeah, at least. I don't know.
right?
Bruce's show
Let's say you
is
chop it up
separate.
10 ways equally, which isn't the case, but
Well,
something like that.
Yeah.
It's $10 million for 4 years. Now we're talking about 2.5 a year,
Right. And then it's also like not even just one show. That includes Keeping Up, Khloe and Kourtney take XYZ.
Yeah, in the Hamptons or whatever.
You know what? I read a great rumor, which was that Kourtney and Scott were looking into real estate in Tel Aviv, and they were going to maybe do a season there. And I was like, that's a great idea.
Scott Disick is. I can't unpack his humanity.
I don't think
I
we
just
want to.
can't.
It's just too much, too layered.
It is.
It's too layered. So anyway, I was like, oh, it's a lot of money, but actually it's not. So whatever. And also, like, does Kim even need it? She's married to Kanye West. Like, she's
it's.
other revenue sources.
I think that it's like a splashy head, like $100 million deal, but like I'm sure it's much more complicated than that. Like it's not even to get like a small contract done at ESPN, like 17 lawyers get involved, it gets reviewed by everybody.
If
Like
that's the number they're splashing around, it's probably overstating it, and it's actually probably less.
who
in some
knows?
way.
But like it could be like if it was the production budget was involved, I'd be like, oh, you got screwed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's all kinds of costs and stuff that go into that, so it can be chopped so many different ways. It's kind of like Ricky Williams' contract. It's like this could be the best thing in the world for Ricky Williams or the worst thing in the world for Ricky Williams. I have no idea.
I was trying to write a joke into something like a week or two ago, and that was like going to be insulting them because I have low ratings. They actually have very high ratings,
Oh yeah,
like
Well,
6 million people total
I
or something.
personally feel like the ratings are like a year and a half behind sort of like the zeitgeist. You know what I mean? Like when Jersey Shore was like everyone was kind of sick of it, and like by everyone I mean like your circle of friends.
Yeah.
But like the actual ratings are like at the peak. So it's like you have to be smart enough in this game to know that like even though your ratings are strong, you have to keep it fresh because you're starting to lose the zeitgeist for whatever the hell that means. Does that make any sense?
Yeah,
Am I just rambling?
no, it does.
Like it's like yes, you are at your strongest on paper, but you kind of have to like.
It's kind of like when a band sells out. It's like, well, they're more popular and making more money, but like the original fans are like, oh, they sold out. Or whatever.
Yeah, and the new fans aren't going to be with them for 2 more years.
Yeah. So I was just like, so whatever. We have a lot of more Kardashians.
Extremely watchable program though. I know you don't watch it, but like I don't like I never push like oh, I'm going to watch this on my DVR. My wife does all the time, and like it's very watchable.
I was doing some Jonathan Cheban research, so I was watching.
Cheban? What is it?
I have no idea.
He is fascinating.
He is fascinating. And guess how old he is?
Anywhere between 25 and 125.
He's like 40. And I just think he looks
makes
great.
Perfect sense to me.
He looks great, I think, for 40.
Yeah.
And he also looks like Scott, kind of, which is weird. And I don't know.
He doesn't look like Scott at all.
I think he looks like Scott a little bit.
Nothing like Scott.
They have similar hairstyle and face
Nothing
shape.
like Scott.
Okay.
He looks nothing like Scott.
I guess you just don't see it. Fine.
Okay, I don't see it at all.
Anyways,
but do you remember he was what he is to Kim Kardashian to Paris Hilton?
Yeah, and before that, I was reading about him. He got famous as Puff Daddy's publicist, basically, and throwing really good parties for Puff Daddy. Did you know that?
No.
Me neither. I had no idea.
I'm all of a sudden jealous of this dude.
He was like a PR like wonderkind who then basically like took his PR career and turned himself into.
Was he like part of that
his
Lizzie
own
Grubman
celebrity?
pack?
Kind of.
Do you remember her show? What was her show called?
I forget, but yeah.
Like the
That was
Pitch
on
Girls, right?
That was like on E2.
Pitch Girls?
I can't remember what it was called.
Something like
something
Publicist
like
Chicks?
Something
Chicks?
Something like that.
Public Chicks would have been
But
pretty
that
good.
was like its whole kind of like first era of reality TV, and he like very quickly saw that like you can have a career as like the best friend, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he abandoned.
I wish he could give
stuff.
us like a real interview where he told us the real thing. It's like, all right, when you identify the Kim Kardashian as a target, what are your tactics to then become her best friend?
Right.
Like, how did you get from 0 to 100 there?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, do an introduction and then like do some free work for her. Like, how does it work?
Well, I think he started working with her before the sex tape, basically. So he's been around for a long time. But he had a lot of these contacts, and then.
Do you think he was with Kim Kardashian while she was shooting in the gym?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Yeah, I do. I think he's been around her for a long time.
Huh.
But anyway, he's interesting. I don't know. Kardashians. Let's move on. Chris Harrison, he's got a book coming out.
So that's not surprising. Do you know what's surprising about it?
That we haven't heard about it?
It's a fictional novel.
Yeah, it's like...
That's hard, man.
I know.
It'd be one thing if it was like The Key to the Rose, or Every Rose Has a Thorn. It was just like My Life Around Love. And it was like one of those, like down the middle, exactly
like
what you'd
he's a
expect from
writer.
Chris Harrison. Like he sits down and he's like, oh, let me work out this scene. Like, what's his character's motivation? Like, that's hard. I don't think I could do that.
We used to joke about him having the easiest job in television, and while I'm not sure that's not true, I think he does a little bit more than I was first willing to give him credit for.
He has a lot of free time, Juliet.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, a lot of free time.
I know, it's been confirmed. When he was here, he was like, yeah, I go fishing and whatever.
Yeah, so he has plenty of time to write a novel. But shout to him, man.
At least he's using his time.
What was it
for
called?
good
I forgot
use.
the title.
I forget.
Is it something cool? It seemed like something like Spies in France. It was something like that. You're just like, whoa,
Still
dude.
waiting for my press copy.
Yeah, get that.
Thanks for listening this week.
This weekend, make sure you listen to The Right Reasons, read Lowbrow Highlights, read Juliet on Haim, read Juliet's gossip column, and also meet her at Tower 28, Santa Monica.
Have a good weekend.
You see, every podcast we put on YouTube comes with this fancy graphic listing all the topics that your favourite Grantland podcasters are talking about. If you click the topics, you can skip around and choose your own podcast adventure. Subscribe to the Grantland Podcast channel to blaze your own trail on this sonic journey.